Next up, we have some of America's most dynamic and innovative municipal leaders here to share their stories of bringing hope to their communities. And we begin with moderator Lance Triggs, who is president of operations for Operation Hope. Lorraine Cochran, who is commissioner of Dekalb County, Georgia. And it's Lorraine Cochran-Johnson. Look at her bad shoes. Aren't those awesome? Oh, there she is, styling a little bit. All right. The Honorable Melissa Conyears-Ervin, Treasurer of the City of Chicago. The Windy City. All right. And then the Honorable Jim Strickland, Mayor of the City of Memphis.
Good morning. Good morning. How's everyone doing?
Good morning.
I'm so excited about this discussion tied to finding hope in America's communities. The conversation we're going to have is going to be very enlightening. We know that over the past 18 months, a lot has happened in our cities. It's been ravaged by loss of life and loss of jobs and loss of business. But the three shining examples that we have here with Commissioner Cochran-Johnson and Treasurer Conyears-Ervin and Mayor Strickland are going to share some best practices in terms of how they are and have been hope for the communities that they're serving. And so why don't we just get right into our conversation this morning. When looking at your bio, I noticed that in order to lead in the public sector, everything starts with you. And so can you share in terms of what made you personally commit to service in the public sector? And Commissioner Cochran-Johnson, we'll start with you.
Well, for me, it's interesting because when we talk about public service, I never aspired to be an elected official. I was drawn to public service because I wanted my community to look like who I am.
That's right.
I looked around me, I saw what I did not see, and I live, of course, in Stonecrest, Georgia, 30038 zip code. That zip code is second only in African American wealth to Prince George's County, Maryland. But we look nothing at all like Prince George's County, Maryland. So when I started to look at what I did not see, I was drawn to service, because I believe that it's time we think differently.
That's right.
About government and each of our obligations to our community. So it was the passion that developed after being elected and fully understanding where we are and reimagining how we do government in order to transform our communities. So it was never, shall I say, a desire. My desire was to change my community so that it looks like who I am.
That's right. No, very good. And Treasurer Conyears-Ervin, this great city of Chicago, you know, what led to your commitment and dedication of public service?
Actually, being raised in a single-family household, I always tell people, by the way, that when you look at me, I am a typical Chicagoan. I was born in Inglewood. If you're not from Chicago, you have heard of Inglewood in Chicago. I am born in Inglewood, raised on the west side of Chicago, and I tell people all the time, until I became an adult, I didn't realize that I have only lived in underserved communities. I was the first in my family to go to college. My mother encouraged me to be the best that I could be and not be limited by my zip code. When I graduated from college, Lance, I said I was going to make a lot of money, and I actually went into corporate America. I spent over a decade in corporate America, and I liked it, good money, but something was missing. And so I made one of the best decisions I could have made, and that was to leave corporate America, and at that time I ran for state representative. And then the opportunity became for me to run for city treasurer of Chicago. Now let me say this, and Mayor Strickland and I were talking, and he asked me, that's an elected position? I said, yeah. No matter where you live in the United States, you've heard about county treasurers. Those are usually the ones that collect tax revenue. But city treasurers is not necessarily a role that we are familiar with. Most municipalities do not even have treasurers, and if they do, they are appointed.
That's right.
Matter of fact, Chicago was very similar. I am, that we know of in Chicago's history, the first elected city treasurer of Chicago. And why that is such an advantage for residents, here's why, and we'll move on. Because I am now a representative of the people. Whereas treasurer of the third largest municipality of the United States, where I manage $9 billion of taxpayers' portfolio, I tell people all the time, I went to school for finance, right? MBA, all of that. So I can protect taxpayers' dollars, manage and invest it. I can make money for you. I can do that in my sleep.
That's right.
But if I'm not changing lives,
There you go.
which is why it's important to have your representative,
Absolutely.
if I'm not changing lives, me making money for you, what does that matter for the average person?
That's right.
And so I thought, now that we have an elected city treasurer, how do we help people where you now have a fiscal agent to say, I want to financially empower residents of the city of Chicago? So I'm appreciative. We'll talk all about this program that we do in the partnership, but to be able to leverage the relationships in one aspect to say, I want to change behavior of the banks and the brokerage firms that we work with. But once I change behavior, now on the other hand, how do I prepare residents
That's right.
to access the capital?
That's right.
That's what it's about.
That's right. Very good. Thank you for sharing that. Amen. Hey, that's the church of what's happening now. Mayor Strickland, City of Memphis.
Well, thanks. It's good to be here. I'll shorten my version. I'll give you a Reader's Digest. But in 1976, I was 11 years old. It was the first presidential election I'd ever paid attention to. That's when Carter beat Ford. As a Catholic, I had wondered, had we ever had a Catholic president? But at the time, we only had one, and that was President Kennedy. And he was assassinated before I was born. But I went back and read about him and watched movies and watched his speeches and became inspired by his call to service. Ask not what you can do for your country, or ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Then in law school, I sat down and read the entire New Testament in one time. I'd never done that. Of course, I'd read it, but never at one time. And you can't do that without coming away knowing that we're called to serve others, especially those less fortunate. And I kind of figured out that my call to service as an American that President Kennedy gave me and my call to serve as a Christian fit hand in glove. And that set off a lifetime of service. And there's no level of government that has more effect and can help people within 24 hours like local government.
That's right.
And that's kind of led to being mayor of Memphis.
That's right. Very good. Very good. I'm extra excited about our guests because all three of you, as you know, are partners of Operation Hope through our Hope Inside network. And so I want to pivot to ask you, each of you, what are some of the successes that you're having in the county, City of Chicago, in the treasurer's role, mayor of City of Memphis, tied to all of you through your leadership, bringing hope back to your community. Commissioner?
Well, we literally broke ground, cut ribbon, September of 2019. I guess I was probably about 6 months into office. I believe one of the greatest things an elected official can do is understand the dynamics of their community. And once you do, you set about solving those issues. You know, oftentimes we talk about crime, but we don't talk about the fact that often economics is the core issue. So in order to address the issue of crime, we have to address the issue of equity, accessibility, and also economics. So I reached out to John because I was very familiar with his work, and I said, I need hope in Dekalb. It's time you walk away from only financial institutions and meet people where they are in their communities. Because the reality is, in many instances, you don't have Black, brown, and underserved individuals walking into banking institutions because they don't feel they are their friends. So if we create models within communities that provide access to financial dignity training, access to home ownership workshops and seminars, that is what transforms lives. So since cutting ribbon, we have given credit counseling to well over 3,000 individuals. We have raised those credit scores between 40 and 80 points, and we have issued over $7 million in down payment assistance to first-time home buyers in DeKalb County, Georgia.
That's right. Awesome. Thank you.
So our relationship has totally been transformative, because it's very important that we understand when we talk about community, for the average individual, if you do not have home ownership, 80% of wealth is generally directly linked to home ownership. So we need to walk away from conversations on black and white. It's time we talk green.
That's right.
Money and economics in our community.
That's right. Amen. Thank you for that. Treasurer Conyears-Ervin?
So when I took office in May of 2019, I had heard of Operation Hope, and my predecessor had some form of a relationship with Operation Hope. And I wanted to really take that a step further. Matter of fact, I believe last night, it was the International Grand Basilisk of Phi Beta Sigma. I'll give them a shout out. I heard him say last night, we're looking for partnership, not patronage. And that's really what my mission. We have a theme right now that I developed, and it's building wealth today for tomorrow. And then I thought about John Hope Bryant talking yesterday about financial literacy for all. Matter of fact, I told my husband last night, I said, you know, I have the building wealth today for tomorrow. I'm gonna tagline it. I like to call it financial empowerment, because I think sometimes when we hear literacy, we think, am I illiterate? So I thought about financial empowerment for all. And what I thought with Operation Hope and what I've seen is that I wanted to help people build generational wealth. So happy to hear Commissioner talking about home ownership. I know Mayor Strickland is going to talk about it. John talks about it all the time. We have to understand that if we want to build generational wealth, we have to start having more conversations about home ownership. It helps to build. It is the foundation. Something that may seem so simple, a lot of people are not able to achieve. And so we have to start there. That can help with small business owners, entrepreneurs. It sets the foundation for so many things. So building wealth today for tomorrow, what we have done just within over the past year of our relationship with Operation Hope, it went beyond the past year, but the pandemic, seems like since we've been in office, it's been in the pandemic. But we were actually able, even virtually, to help residents, and I always say this, for free. I know many people around this room know people who have paid to have their credit repaired. And some of them walk away without a repair.
That's right, because there's a difference.
There's a difference. And so with this partnership, we are offering residents of Chicago for free the opportunity to be counseled between 12 to 18 months. We are holding their hands, and we're starting from 101.
That's right.
Where we're helping them to balance checkbooks, where we're helping them to budget, where we're helping them to increase their credit score. And by the way, we have seen that with those that have participated, over 60% of their scores have improved. And let me rephrase that, because that's not correct what I said. All of their scores have improved.
That's right.
But most of them have seen over 60% improvement.
That's right.
That's the difference.
And that's a game changer.
Yes,
That's a game changer.
that's right.
Because, so you said the right word, game changer. Because what that does, that now separates you from renting to the preparedness of a home ownership. And that's what it's about, to build generational wealth. But let me put this plug in. I'm excited about the partnership. I love the partnership. But if we in government, and I believe we have to invest in people, so many times I talked about partnership versus patronage. We want to hand people fish to eat.
That's right.
We say we have to teach them to fish. Because if you hand me fish to eat, I will continue to come to you to eat. But if you teach me to fish, now I can feed myself.
Hello.
And so I'm excited about the partnership, but I always tell people, I truly don't have enough money to help more residents. And that's why I know, and we talk a lot about private and public partnerships, we need that. That's something I'm advocating for even in Chicago. This is a new partnership that I have with Operation Hope. We've helped almost 1,000 residents through the 1 year to 18 months program, but I gotta help more.
Right.
We have 2.7 million people in Chicago. I gotta help more, but I need help.
That's right. Well, thank you for that, Treasurer. Mayor Strickland?
Sure, and I'll try not to repeat because we've had some of the same successes, but I got introduced to John by Brian Jordan, head of First Horizon, who I know is here somewhere, because I saw him last night.
Great partner of Operation Hope, yes.
But it was also around the time that we were going to commemorate the 50th anniversary of Dr. King's assassination in Memphis. And we not only wanted to commemorate the assassination, we wanted to celebrate the 1,300 sanitation workers who went out on strike against my predecessor 52 years ago. And that's a long story, but they're remarkable men.
Now, right?
Those 1,300 men were remarkable, and there were about 30 or so, 35 who were still living. We wanted to lift them up, so we gave, with a partnership with City Council, gave them a $70,000 tax-free grant, which doesn't make up for the way they were treated in the 60s, but it was a token of our esteem for them. And we partnered with Hope Inside because we have several Hope Insides in Memphis helping the public, but we didn't have one helping city employees.
That's right.
So the goal was to help these 30 men and their families what to do with that money.
That's right.
And then that built to our current employees. And we've had real success, especially in our fire department, of people using those services to improve their credit scores and home ownership and that sort of thing. Then that leads to the bigger partnership that we're having right now with you on the Million Black Businesses.
That's right.
In Memphis, which is 65% African American, if you add up all the business that we transact, not just government, but going to buy insurance and groceries and so forth, add up all the business, 1% is transacted with African American owned businesses. Wow. In a city that's 65% African American.
Same thing.
That is not fair, it's not just.
Not fair.
It's also not sustainable for the city, for the future of the city. Because we want to see the success that Chicago and Atlanta have had. So we went about a three-step process, and I'll make it very quick. Number one, improve how city government contracts with black-owned businesses. Number two, get the private sector to do it. And number three, diversify the businesses owned by African Americans. Because there's no African American auto dealer in Memphis, so we can't buy our police cars and fire trucks. So Joanne Massey is here, and she led up our effort, she's a superstar, and we went from 12% of our contracts with MWBEs to now 24% of our contracts, and we want to go even higher.
Good.
And then to take that to the next level is our partnership with you on 1 Million Black Businesses, because we want to grow that even more. And then we have also what we call 800 initiative, which is taking black-owned. We have about 800 businesses in Memphis, black-owned, who have 5 employees to 20. How do we grow those? And we started that process. We've grown their revenue by 17 million, dozens new employees. Because if we could take those 800 businesses and they all hire 5 new employees, that would be transformative for our city. So we have all these efforts going on to raise that 1% to something that's fair.
That's right. Thank you for sharing that. Deserves a round of applause. I mean, I could talk to them all day long. You know, they only gave us a short period of time. But I think the three of you are a shining example of how government, local municipalities, private sector can come together with a nonprofit like Operation Hope and provide, no pun intended, hope to our communities. And so let's give them a round of applause for their leadership, their commitment to serve, but the impact that they're having in DeKalb County, city of Chicago, and the great city of Memphis. Thank you all for being here. Let's give them a round of applause.